What is going on, guys? Welcome to another quick little tutorial for Satisfactory. Today we're going to be going over power grids. So a lot of times I see people struggling, we'll be on the same tier, same phase, what have you, but we'll be light years in difference as far as the size of our factories, what we have producing, things like that. 9 times out of 10, what it comes down to is people's power grids. So the biggest problem we have is basically not knowing how to set it up properly. So what a lot of times I'll hop in their game, and what I'll see is we'll say for instance this container is a miner. We're mining iron for this one, set to a smelter, constructor, the whole assembly line set up. Then we'll go over to the copper miner, same thing, miner, smelter, constructor, on and on. But for each miner, they have their own little biomass burner, which is this right here. Okay, being fed properly from a container to a constructor, turning leaves or wood into biomass into the biomass burner, which that's fine. If that's all you have is one little miner, or you're just starting out, having one biomass burner is the way you get started. But then they spend most of their time running around collecting leaves and wood to try to continue to fuel each individual burner for each individual miner, and they're constantly blowing fuses, never having time to upgrade or anything like that. So the proper setup for that, and you can have this setup anywhere, it doesn't matter, so long as your fuel point is easy to get to. Okay, you can have your miners all set over here, which is the starting area that we're currently recording our tutorial videos in, and then all your biomass burners can be in a heavily wooded area over here, so it's easier to fuel your containers. You don't have to run halfway across the map to get leaves or wood or anything like that. That's perfectly okay too. Just remember, run your power lines, tie all your biomass burners in together, run a single power line, and then bounce it to each one of your miners. Here's a perfect example, okay? We've got, we'll say, 2 iron miners right here going to our furnaces, from our furnaces to our constructors, from our constructors onto our storage units to hold our product or an assembler or what have you. Okay, now we have the power grid, all right? We're doing leaves out of one, wood out of the other. We have our 2 constructors, one to turn leaves into biomass, one to turn wood into biomass. Okay, from there it goes into a merger. All right, so you'll have your biomass coming out of this container or constructor, biomass coming out of this constructor, goes into a merger onto a single conveyor belt, which runs into 4 subsequent splitters. From those splitters it goes into your biomass burners. All right, this is a semi-automated system. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and set this up. We're going to set this constructor to biomass leaves, okay? We're going to set this constructor to biomass wood, okay? In this container, we're going to dump our leaves, doing control-click like I explained to you in episode 1 of our tutorial. Control-click takes all the stacks of leaves, okay? Same thing for the wood. Control-click takes all your stacks of wood. Our containers are full. They're shipping it off to the constructors to be broken down into biomass. Once this happens, you'll see the biomass come out of the exit. Let me turn down the game volume right quick. Bear with me. Okay, you see the biomass coming out of the constructors? Go down just a hair more because that got pretty loud. Coming into the merger, down the conveyor belt, through the splitters, now it's feeding our biomass burners. You see them firing off, first, second, third, fourth, and it's going to continue on down the line. Now, once these biomass burners hit 200 stacks of fuel, then your biomass is going to start backing up on your conveyor belts. And as I said in episode 1, that is perfectly okay. That's what you want, because that's going to put you to a point to where you're not going to have to worry about running out of fuel for a little bit. All right, so you can go out, explore, gather resources, build some more assembly lines or what have you. Now, the biggest takeaway from this power grid My biomass burners are tied into a pole, tied into the next pole, tied into another pole. Okay, same thing on the other side. Two tied into a pole, two tied into a pole, tied into another pole. These poles, this pole here, is tied into this pole, subsequently tying in all 8 biomass burners. Okay, from there, I have a line coming to one constructor, a line off the other pole to another constructor, bounced over to my smelters. I'd be powering my miners as well. Smelters, constructors, and so on. A single power grid like this, a single power grid in this setup, okay, with a single power line coming off to your other equipment is going to power everything. So if you run out of fuel or blow a fuse, you're not having to run to each individual biomass burner and try to figure out who's out of fuel, who's pulling too much power. If this is how we were doing it, we'd spend the day hitting all 4 of these biomass containers trying to figure out what's going on. I'm sorry, there's 3 of them. We'd have to figure out who's out of fuel, who blew a fuse, who's overdrawing on power. It's a time dump. It's a waste of time. It's just not worth it. Set up your power grids. Like I said, it doesn't matter. Your power grid could be way over here on top of this mountain, and your miners can be over here. Your power poles, I'll show you. You have a power pole coming off of your biomass burner. As you're running it, hold on. When you run a power line, from your power pole, you can run a distance, okay? When it turns red, it's also going to give you an indication wire is too long. You see it flashing just under where it says power line. You back up a scotch until you're back in range, set it, pull another power line to your next power pole. Okay, wire's too long. I'll back it up a scotch. It's blue. Set it and move on to the next. And I can run power all the way from this power grid all the way back over here to where my miners are set up. It frees up space in your area. Okay, so you have your miners, assemblers, smelters. You have everything here, storage containers. Your furnaces are way off over there, so it frees up more build space in this area. It's going to make it look nicer, cleaner, and it's just going to be easier to work around. If you have not stepped up your game into verticality, meaning you have a miner, okay, we'll put a storage container here. This is your miner, for example. All right, we're going to put up some walls. Go up over the miner. All right, we're going to do foundation for the ceiling. Come across. Mouse wheel click to copy. We're going to put more walls here. Okay, so we have our miner down below. Up above the miner, we have our smelter, okay? And the miner's feeding the smelter through a conveyor lift. And I'll go over that in the next episode. All right, from there, you kind of get the gist of it, right? What you can do is you can have your miners, smelters, assemblers on the ground floor come up, set up your power grid, or, you know, have your power grid up on this mountain running power down, just so long as it's somewhere out of the way, but the grid itself is tied into itself. You'll never have an issue having to run all over the map to feed everything. And I'll show you this once again. You guys can also go back, replay the video. If you have any questions, drop it down in the comments. I will be more than happy to help you out, get you guided in the correct direction. Okay, so you have your 2 containers. You have your leaves and your wood going into 2 separate constructors. One turning leaves into biomass, one turning wood into biomass, coming into a merger. From that merger, it comes out into 4 subsequent splitters. Run your conveyor belts, run them off to your biomass burners, Tie your biomass burners into power lines. Make sure all your power lines are tied in together. And then you can run it all to your equipment, your miners, smelters, constructors, and so on. Don't be this guy. Don't be 7, 8 individual biomass burners spending your entire time fueling everything. Be this guy. Remember, built for speed, not intelligence. Or not perfection, excuse me. Alright. If you guys like the video, man, please like and subscribe. Make sure your notifications are turned on. Stay tuned. Episode 1 is currently uploading to YouTube. I'll have this one uploaded very shortly after, and we're going to continue on through the walkthrough, broken down in detail, step by step, on how to properly get set up and move forward and go from 0 to mega base. You guys have an awesome one.